Just like Jawan is to SRK, Mr. Shah Rukh Khan, Empuraan is for Mohanlal. Hi guys, this is Farhad and welcome back to my channel Popcorn Reviews. If you're new to this channel, then please smash that subscribe button now. And as a video ritual, remember to like and comment on the video. Liking and commenting helps fuel the YouTube algorithm. And today, the excitement for me was right from the start of the day, right from the time that I got up, because it is Empuraan day. It is Empuraan day, and I had to watch the first show first thing in the morning, and that's exactly what I did, and here are my thoughts on the Malayalam film L2E Empuraan, which is now available in a theatre near you. It is a direct sequel to Lucifer, starring Mohanlal and Prithviraj, directed by Prithviraj. Now, first things first, one thing that I really, was looking forward to in the film was the political core of the film. Just like Lucifer, and one of the reasons why Lucifer had worked as a film was because it had a deep-rooted political connection, including the shifting dynamics between the characters that actually went on to, contribute to the fabric of storytelling. Sure, it was a mass masala vehicle, so to say, but the core of the film was a political drama which was raging in many ways, and that was the acid test of L2 Empuraan. Now, L2 Empuraan scores for me, it scores exactly for me, despite it being predictable and convenient in a few places. Because of this, the politics of the drama is very, very strong. By Murli Gopi, who's the writer of the film, he probably understands the fabric of the country at the moment, which is filled with politics. There are extreme opinions from the left and the right, and it contributes to a lot of divisiveness in the society. The society remains divided as we speak, and that is what he extracted in the film. In that opening act that was there was a considerable build-up that acted as a flashback for one of the characters, while also contributing to the emotional core of the film. The emotional core of the film was related to one of the characters, while having a flashback in 2002. Now 2002 is a year that it will ring a bell to you immediately, with all the kinds of happenings that had happened in a particular state with respect to, the communal tensions that were going on. And so that is, what is exploited in the film. But coming to the story and screenplay, if I have to be very, very analytical about the story and screenplay, one thing that I really liked about the story and screenplay, particularly the writing, I would say, was the characterization of some of the characters. Not all the characters, but some of the characters. For instance, when you are introduced to the characters of Priyadarshini, which is played by Manju Warrior, or Jatin, which is played by Tovino Thomas, you see that the warm sibling bond that they had from the first film, it is very different this time. You can see the difference between the two. You can see the difference probably in a little bit of their ideologies also, with the way they are interacting for the first time, and the distance that is created between the two. Particularly the character of Jatin that is there, that character is far from the bi-spectacled, person who's actually giving a speech in Lucifer. He's a different person from that. You see him wearing glares, almost blinded by the problems of it, and that is where the politics of the drama also kicks in. The film opens with a quote saying that power corrupts, but absolute power absolutely corrupts, and that is perfectly true for a bunch of the characters here. And I liked how the opening sequence is linked with this, and that decides the political fabric of the drama, which is supremely relevant in today's times. It is very relevant in today's times, and that is what forms the emotional core of the film as well. Now, I really liked what they did with the politics of the state of Kerala, which stands for secularism. And you see, that the state stands for values that are being passed on from one generation to another. So I liked what they did with that, and they tried to turn it into the political angle with an outsider that, you see him entering the political landscape of the state in order to change it So in that regard, when I look at the characterization that is there, the characterization definitely here it might seem to be a little binary if I have to look at it only from Empuraan's perspective. But because I had watched Lucifer a day earlier, I could see, the proper character arc that was there from Lucifer to Empuraan. And I think that is a very important connection with the gaze in which you need to look at these characters, because this is not a standalone film. This is a connected film. So the world is already created. And so you need to also take into account what happened in Lucifer for it to completely enjoy. If you need to completely enjoy the film, you need to take that into perspective. This is also true for the character of the protagonist, which is played by Mohanlal. His name is Qureshi Abram and Stephen, or also Lucifer. Now, one thing that you note with respect to the characterization is that you see a god's name that is, almost like a subtext in his name. Ram is there, Abram, but Ram is there, which almost signifies or symbolizes the protector of the land, here. But at the same time, you also have a nickname like a Lucifer, which stands basically for the devil. So in a broad stroke, if I have to define the character of Mohanlal, it would be more on the lines of Robin Hood, taking from the poor and, taking from the rich and sending it to the poor. And I think that is what decides the fabric of the character or the characterization here, and so the mystery that was there in the first part, and as far as the character is concerned, is not so much of a mystery in the second part, because it's already revealed in the first part, right? So you need to treat it in that similar zone. That's why I said that you need to also keep into subtext what happened in Lucifer as well, and look at it as a whole film, Lucifer and Empuraan. And some of you might just come at me and saying that, you need to just talk about this film, Empuraan, and it was broad stroke, but I cannot treat it like that, right? Because it's already, the characters defined in the first hour, so you need to have a proper, arc which is shown in Empuraan. Empuraan has a little flattened arc because of this. It's having a setup with respect to the character dynamics that happens within the family, and the political angle that is there. So coming back to the character of the character of Lucifer that is there, you see that, the devil that is there, you see him in the introductory sequence wherein you actually see him stall a drug cartel deal that is going on, and that is the devil side of things. But the protector side of things is when he has to come back to God's own country. That itself is a symbolic sign of the purity that the land has to offer, while being corrupted by some of the people that have entered the land, God's own country. When we say for Kerala, I think that is one apt reasoning that is given. And I think the protector of the land is when the other side of Lucifer is taken into account. So to beat the devil, you need to be the devil as well. So it's a little bit of a dichotomy that is nicely explored in that characterization, so to say. Now, one little criticism that I had about the film, about the writing rather, was that it had a little convenience to it, I would say, with respect to some of the character arcs, and I did feel that the binary angle of the film is very less explored, like in the sense that if I have to say in the pure writing sense, the writing here is pretty binary. It has a broad line of what it wants to convey, which characters are good, which characters are bad. Everything is put on a platter, and so you're not really guessing about the intentions of any character or the shifting intentions of any character. And I think that is one bit of I can say a demerit in the writing, which wasn't the case in Lucifer, by the way. Everyone's intentions were hidden. But it more than makes up when I look at it from a mass masala entertainer. If I have to look at it from a mass masala entertainer, all of these flaws are not flaws anymore, because it rides on a lot of style. The protagonist, by the way, he enters on the 61st minute, by the way, 1 hour into the film. So anyway, so coming back, the slow-mos that were there, the stylized sequences that were there, I think far too many slow-mos, but anyway, the slow-mo introductions in so many scenes that are there with respect to the protagonist are really, really well directed and really well achieved as well as far as the impact of the film is concerned. And I think that was a big plus for me. Like I said, even the politics of the drama and what it was trying to convey with respect to the current, political setup and the current scenario in the country, it's eerily similar. And I think that is also what is, being conveyed. And I think that also makes for a solid mark. The connecting factor between two tonally different narratives here, one with the cartel and one with the political angle, is the nostalgia that is there, which is mostly in the form of a flashback. And I think those are the cohesive units in the screenplay, which is, tied up together and formed into a wonderful narrative, so to say. The second half, though, has a little bit of a convenience, as I said earlier. The conflicts are simple and the resolutions are quicker. It's subjective, but I felt it was pretty quick. In one scene you see the character of Manju Warrior anticipating some action which eventually happens, only for the action to be undone through a set of dialogues a couple of reels afterwards. There's also a set of convenience in which the protagonist just appears randomly at a particular place only to save the day save the day and protect the character of Manju Warrior. Another also character has a similar kind of a fate with the protagonist at the center of it. These are convenient plot points here and there, but at no point did I feel bored because the tempo of the film was very fast. The tempo allowed me to look beyond such factors here, although I did feel that the emotional core that was there was missing, and that came back to haunt the film in the final act. The final act for me was convenient but very straightforward, and I think I would have ideally liked a little more politics to be explored. There was a little plot about the dam which was there. I think that could have been a little more explored. But the setup again for the third part is terrific, and that's what makes Empuraan a hit. I really enjoyed the film from a mass masala perspective, while acknowledging the fact that the messaging and the politics of the drama was really relevant in today's times, and I think that worked for me majorly more than anything else. And as a mass masala film, I really enjoyed it as well. And people might find it a little different from the opinion, but I don't know, I enjoyed it. I have to say I enjoyed it. Coming to the technical aspects, the dialogues, the music and the direction, I feel the dialogues are pretty punchy while also incorporating various dialects. So there are Hindi, there's English, there are other languages as well. All add to the authenticity of the drama, and the punchy lines that are there add to the mass masala moments by and large, which are pretty evident in the film. The music also is smashing. I think the numbers, really exude of the right kind of emotions. Although the emotional core from the writing perspective remained a little under par, I would say. But more or less, the music was still, pretty impressive. Also, the BGM was smashing, particularly in sequences that had the slow motion shots of the protagonist, or also in the final act, in which it was almost like a 2-on-1 match, and absolutely wonderfully well, choreographed as well. The action set pieces were pretty impressive. The cinematography also is pretty good, and I really liked how the landscape, that you travel the landscape with the traveling drama which was there across the different countries, and so it added a lot of richness. The frames added a lot of richness and depth to the proceedings which are there. Also, the action set pieces that are there, it took into account the lack of agility as a part of the protagonist, and wonderfully incorporated that with a tilting camera, something like this, every moment has a movement here. So something on those lines it actually did, and it made for a wonderful, innovative. I wouldn't say very innovative because I've watched that earlier, but it made for an impactful viewing for sure. The editing also is pretty impressive, which says a lot about the otherwise 3-hour runtime, and one of the highlights for me as far as the editing was concerned is the transition shots. The transition shots were wonderful here, and just an instance if I can give, there was a shot in which a cross was, inverted and placed in the mud. Cut to that, the next scene was in another location with a cross, swindling on the mirror, of a car. and I think that was a pretty impressive switch from one location to another, which did not allow the film to be almost like a reel, something like Pushpa 2 was guilty of, although I did like Pushpa 2 as well, but Pushpa 2 was guilty of this fact that each set pieces were treated individually with no cohesive unit between one scene to another, which was not the case here. This was pretty impressive. Director Prithviraj Sukumaran, I think, needs to be applauded here for his style and technique. In the cold open sequence that is there right at the start, you see a genuine sense of purpose in his direction while taking into account the style factor that is there in the drama, and it makes for such a wonderful viewing. He also scores with the world building here, which adds to the emotional core of almost his character's emotional journey, and before reintroducing the characters, which and to see where they are at different points in their lives. And I think the direction was very impressive. I think he also handled the transition shots really well, and I think that's very impressive. I think one thing maybe that he could have accounted for a little less convenience in the drama, but I think that's more of a script issue than a direction issue. He could have made it a little more layered, so to say, but taking nothing away from the direction. I think Prithviraj Sukumaran has done a wonderful job as far as the direction is concerned. Now coming to the performances, I feel the performances are pretty solid, although not all characters are well etched here, and I think some of the characters really leave a mark here. For instance, Satyajit Sharma, or even some of the other characters like Abhimanyu Singh or Sukant Goyal. I think these two really leave a mark, particularly Sukant Goyal. I think he was brilliant with his expressions. Abhimanyu had a one tone to his characterization, but the degrees of anger that he had to be, the one emotion that he had to show was anger, and the degrees of anger that he had to show was, all provis to his wonderful acting which was there. I think couple of characters that were underwritten for me was Suraj Venjaramudu and Indrajit. I think both of them were slightly underwritten. Some of the other foreign characters were also slightly underwritten, I would say, for my liking, but I think that was the requirement in the screenplay. I think it wasn't too much of a hassle, I would say. As far as the other main cast is concerned, Manju Warrior and Tovino Thomas, they are splendid. Manju Warrior is very, dignified with her performance, very sincere and earnest. And also to mention her costume, you see her costume, it's almost like she's donning a tricolor, which has the colors that are there in the flag that she is donning on a sari. It almost is equally spread, as opposed to the flag that is shown from the other side, which has only one color. And I don't want to specify anything more, but there's only one color that is there that signifies nothing but nationalism, nothing else, and hyper nationalism, I would say. So that messaging also conveyed through her attire and through the the flags, which are very nicely done. Coming back to Tovino Thomas also does a good job, and we all remember that spectacular speech that he had in Lucifer at the podium. Very sincere, very earnest. He retains that sincerity and earnestness with a little bit of guile in it, and I think that's what sets the things apart. And I think he does a smashing job. Make no mistake, he does a smashing job. Prithviraj Sukumaran also has a wonderful screen presence, although I would have liked little more of his screen time, I would say, because the emotional core was linked to his character. The character of Mohanlal, I would say, I think he absolutely had a blast. He did a wonderful job. Although this, I wouldn't really regard it as a performance-oriented role, but he definitely has a screen presence, a swagger to carry it, and enough context to say that our king is back. I think we must put that notion to rest, saying that will he be back? I think he's already back with this film, and you can almost see him having a good time and surrendering to the vision. The expressions that are there, the glances that are there, and the swagger that he has in the slow motion. Oh boy, wonderful to witness all other characters. It was nice to spot, by the way, Fazil also, Mr. Fazil, who plays the priest or the father in the film, and nice to spot him in a film as well as an actor. Some of the other actors also do a wonderful job. Not possible to name everybody, but everyone does a smashing job. So overall, L2 Empuraan or L2E or Lucifer 2, whatever you want to call it, is a supremely relevant political thriller veiled as a mass masala entertainer, which is stylized and boasting of wonderful performances that actually makes for a wonderful watch. It makes for a smashing watch. Slightly convenient, I would say, and predictable. Definitely it's predictable, but it still makes for a lovely watch. It's still a wonderful watch. It's my opinion. I think it's a relevant film of today's times, which is a rarity as far as the mass masala films are concerned. This last type of film that I watched in a mass masala entertainer was more, I think in 2023 when I watched Jawan. And when you have people like Shah Rukh Khan or Mohanlal actually coming out, or even Prithviraj coming out and voicing their opinion about something which is so relevant in today's times, it automatically adds audience to them, and that makes for a wonderful watch. Let me know your thoughts on what were your thoughts on Empuraan in the comments. I'm sure many of you all have lots to say, and I'll actually be replying to all comments. Come on, let's do it. Let's have a discussion here. Also leave a like. Please leave a like. So many people, if you all are watching, please leave a like, or you can dislike it. Any sort of engagement fuels the YouTube algorithm. You can share this video with your friends and family. It takes a lot to do a one take 20-minute video, but you can share this with your friends and family. Ask them to subscribe to the channel. My detailed review of Empuraan is available on my site, Popcorn Reviews with a double S, the link of which is in the description box below. You can read it in your language. You can also follow me on different social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Letterboxd. I do not end up making a video on everything that I watch, but I do write a lot. All information is present on my site and on my Popcorn Reviews site and on my social media handles. Okay, so that was that. So that is the video then for me. If you're liking it, remember again to like and subscribe and comment, and I'll see you again next time. Till then, thank you so much for your love and support, and take care of yourselves, and keep commenting over the weekend about what you felt about the film. Mine may be an unpopular opinion, I don't know, but we'll see in the comments. Till then, take care of yourselves. Cheers.